More than 100 people are known to have died in the worst flooding to hit northern Europe for decades. Many more people are injured or missing. More than 3 months' worth of rain fell in 24 hours over parts of Western Germany, the Netherlands and Belgium. Many local people say they were caught off guard. More than 100 people are confirmed as having died after some of the worst flooding in decades devastated parts of northern Europe. Many hundreds more people are injured or unaccounted for across Germany, Belgium and the Netherlands. The work of the emergency services is being severely restricted because of the difficult conditions. The German president has called for a more determined battle against climate change. Anna Holligan sent this report.
An apocalyptic scene. Lives, homes lost to the most devastating floods here in decades. Hundreds are still missing, and more rain is on the horizon. This is one German village, Schuld, but the catastrophic images span 3 nations with banks on the River Meuse. Across the border in Belgium, it's impossible to capture the scale of the disaster, but this is an indication. A submerged town engulfed in flames. In Liège, there are fears it isn't over yet.
I've never seen anything like it. It's scary. I came by at midday yesterday. You could still see the little barrier there. This morning you can't see it anymore. The waters are rising more and more. It's scary.
Many here are asking why events like this appear to be happening more frequently.
In a warmer world, the atmosphere can hold more moisture. And of course, as there is more water, more moisture in the atmosphere, rainfall events can become more extreme. So we've seen before that extreme rainfall events have become more frequent because of climate change.
Here in the Netherlands, this part of Limburg province is now officially classified as a disaster zone, which means the government will offer financial support to those who've lost almost everything.
Here in Valkenburg, they're battling to salvage everything that hasn't already been lost to the floods. A water pipe has just burst, and around here many of the locals were evacuated overnight. They've returned home with shovels and pipes to try to save their own homes.
Brigitte tried to build her own flood defences to protect her family. She told me how it felt to be inside as the water rose.
Fearful, yeah. Always afraid that the water would come in more, and nothing you can do. It feels the sound of the water dripping into your house. I never want to hear it again. Ever. It's terrible.
It's still too soon for many to comprehend the loss or calculate the cost.
A clearer picture emerged today of the death and destruction caused by the catastrophic flooding in Germany, Belgium and other parts of Western Europe. 120 people are now confirmed to have died, but hundreds more are still missing or unaccounted for. In some areas, 3 months' worth of rain fell in just 24 hours, causing rivers to burst their banks and prompted calls for urgent action on climate change. Here's our Europe editor, James Mates, on the unfolding tragedy.
If you wondered how these floods could have taken quite so many lives, look at these pictures. The town of Blessem, just to the west of Cologne, where the waters ripped through a gravel pit and then tore away all the land around it. Where once there was a footpath and cycleway, now a cliff edge into the turbid waters below. If you were in the wrong place at the wrong time here, you stood no chance. As the water level has subsided a little, this is just the most dramatic evidence of what nature can do when driven to extremes. For more than 50 hours it rained here on land that was already sodden. No amount of preparation could have contained it.
Europe on the whole is prepared, but when you get extreme events such as what we've seen, 2 months worth of rainfall in 2 days, it's very, very difficult to cope.
In the historic city of Koblenz, where one great river, the Moselle, joins another, the Rhine, Dozens are still missing. The waters still stretch as far as the eye can see. The land here is flat, the rivers are large, floods do happen, but not like this. Chancellor Angela Merkel has seemed visibly shocked by what's hit her country. I grieve for those who've lost their lives in this disaster, she said. We still don't know the number, but it will be many. Some in the basements of their homes, some as firefighters were trying to bring others to safety. And to their loved ones, my deepest sympathies. Much of the water has now moved on to Belgium. This is the river Meuse that runs through the Belgian city of Liège. It is hovering centimetres below flood level for now, and not even the sandbags are going to make much difference. The trees tell you how far the river is from its normal course and how deep the water is now. The Netherlands too is on the edge. They know a thing or two about managing water here, but the scene in the eastern town of Roermond shows that even they are struggling. There are fears a local dike may soon be breached by unimaginable quantities of water that are still a long way from the sea. James Mates, ITV News.
As James said, floods aren't uncommon in the region, but nothing on this scale has happened for decades. Experts say it was triggered by a low-pressure vortex circling over Western Europe. It caused 6 inches of rain in just 24 hours, causing the River Aire in Germany to burst its banks. The River Rhine and the River Meuse, which runs through Belgium and the Netherlands, also overflowed. Well, Lucy Hoff is in the Belgian city of Liège tonight. Lucy, how serious is the situation there?
I think it really can't be underestimated, Charlene. I mean, people living here have been able to return back to their homes today to find all but in complete destruction. I've just been talking to one man who was trapped in the upper floors of his house for 48 hours without any food, without any clean water, with huge tides coming through the village. Emergency services have now been able to access the majority of people, but tragically, the death toll in this region alone has risen to 20 and dozens are still missing. You can see the destruction around me. Houses that have been brought to near collapse. There are overturned cars on many of the roads here and mass power outages. It's estimated that more than 20,000 people are currently without power in this region, which has severely hampered the search and rescue operation, given that there are still those missing individuals. So the rescue operation continuing, but here in this village, it really is about assessing what can be salvaged from the damage. People here, as you say, are used to flooding, but they have never seen anything on this scale.
But the problem, Lucy, is that this possibly isn't over. There could be worse to come, right?
Yeah, as we heard there from James, the River Meuse, which runs through the city of Liège, is showing worrying signs at being almost at its limit. It is inches below bursting through its banks, and certainly the residents in that city and in the surrounding areas. A village just on the border with the Netherlands, a bit further east from where we are now, has been told to stay on high alert there, where the river seems to be almost bursting its banks. The bad rainfall, we're told, is moving towards the Netherlands, but it's looking like a very difficult weekend ahead.
OK, Lucy, thanks very much.